Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, one of the many reasons that I love about recording this daily podcast is that as a tech fan, I often get frustrated with the same stories in my newsfeed every day, and I try and create a bit of an antidote to that. And I think you kind of know the stories that I'm talking about. I mean, if you go to any tech website, you will have rumoured new iPhone for a couple of weeks, followed by here's what the new phone might look like, followed by here's what it does look like, followed by here's the spec, it's out next week, here's the review, and then rinse, wash and repeat. It just feels like you're caught in that constant cycle. And elsewhere, we have the constant stories of AI is going to take our jobs or destroy the whole of humanity. But my biggest gripe of them all is the stories around lazy millennials, lazy Gen Z, lazy snowflakes that can't do anything that we could 30 years ago. And that's for good reason. Yes, because rotary phones and VCRs do not exist anymore and nobody needs to know how to use them. Who do those people call when they need help with their computer or with their internet or with a bit of Photoshop? You see, I think kids today are incredibly resourceful in the world that they're living in right now. So forget about all these lazy millennial stories. But enough of my rants. Now, today's guest is truly inspirational. His name is Manu, but he's better known as Swish, and he's from Toronto in Canada. Now, and at 19 years old, he's already made a dent in the global entrepreneurial landscape, having been recognised as Startup Canada's Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. And he was also the face and future of Canadian entrepreneurship by UPS Canada. He has already interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, Mark Cuban, Lewis Howes, and Seth Godin, and performed numerous TED Talks. I think you're going to love what he has to say today, and he's a real breath of fresh air, let me tell you. So buckle up and hold on tight, so I can beam your ears all the way to Calgary, so we can speak directly with Manu Goswami, who answers to the name Swish, so he can share his incredible journey with us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Definitely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Swish. It's a nickname that was given to me in grade 7. I was a decent basketball player, but in retrospect, looking back, I guess I was good for my age because I played at the Calgary Science School. And so playing at a science school meant that even if you were 5'11", you were probably an all-star in their eyes. So I was given the nickname Swish, very entrepreneurial as a kid, started the world's first youth social capital fund, moved to Toronto for university and got direct messaged by a basketball player called Trevor Booker. He basically just gave me this world of opportunity to be able to take my entrepreneurial drive and run with it in the sector that I love the most, which was sports. So we built out a wearables company together. I licensed it out in New York. I moved there about 5 months ago. And now I'm running 2 companies. One is called Dunk, which is a media company with an internal following of about 10 million followers geared towards basketball. As well as SuperFan, that I'm definitely very excited to talk about because we're launching next month. It's essentially a program, an application, and a web platform to be able to help celebrities, brands, and agencies find and interact with their top passionate and influential fans.
Fantastic. And you are doing a lot of travelling at the moment as well. So I know you're in Calgary right now. I mean, what brings you to Calgary to speak with me today? Have you got some speaking events, or is it just promoting the launch?
Yeah, so it's kind of a mix between speaking and LinkedIn. So I have quite a LinkedIn presence. So I do LinkedIn meetups wherever I go. My mom's also in Calgary. So when there's a LinkedIn event here and they're in Calgary, I was just like, let's do it. You know, I'd love to come and speak at the event. And in the meantime, also come and just meet my mom and tell her that I exist. So, so I'm pretty excited to be here and to be able to do that.
Now, I read a great tweet from you recently where you said, before you write down your own story, you must separate yourself from the story other people write for you. I think it's a fantastic quote, but can you tell me a little bit more about the message behind it and also the experiences that led to you sharing it?
Yeah, it's the biggest lesson I've learned in the last year, Neil, is that from what I've seen, you know, I was a person who was basically going to university about 2 years ago, and I had all the plan to go to law school. It wasn't just that my brother was in law school, It wasn't just that I loved the TV show Suits and I really wanted to be Harvey Specter, but it was also just my parents. My parents wanted me to find some traditional occupation, whether it was engineering, med school, or going to law school, and they wanted me to have the quote-unquote safe and secure job. Not saying that that's a bad idea. It just wasn't me, though. And that's what I really found out early on. And looking in retrospect, I think there are a lot of people that are still in the same boat I was in a year ago, where they're like, they really want to go and do something, but society or their school or their parents or their friends are telling them to do one thing. And so that's why I made the tweet. It's because I honestly want more and more people to understand that, before you go, it's the same thing with before you make someone else happy, you have to be happy yourself. Before you go and, go entirely live, your own life, you have to find out what that life means to you before what it means to someone else. So that's honestly why I made the tweet, is to encourage more and more people to realize that, your mom and your dad might love you a lot, but they don't always know what's best for you. At the end of the day, you know what's best for you the most.
Your ethos is just fantastic, because, you've also got an inspirational message to the youth of today, which goes something like, we are the leaders of tomorrow, but we don't need to wait until tomorrow to lead. Can you expand on that as well? Because how you think that it is this golden age of social entrepreneurship, and how social entrepreneurship can also change the way we think about opportunities.
Yeah, so that's basically my thesis for the last 5-6 years, right? Which is I basically did everything 4 or 5 years faster than most people thought you could do it. And I'm not saying this to be cocky. I'm not saying this to brag or anything. All I'm saying is in a world where a lot of 15, 16-year-olds are just told to be in school and learn, I was doing things outside that was basically taking the application of what I learned and putting it into the practical world. I was attending meetings that 25, 26-year-olds would want to attend, right? I was speaking at conferences. I was building up a presence on LinkedIn, a platform most people would never want to build a presence on. So I think the huge thing is, for me, in saying these quotes, is not just trying to motivate people, but it's trying to get them to understand that I'm not an anomaly, that I'm not just a person that has done a lot and I'm an exception to the rule. I really do believe that for me, I am the rule, that I am what most young people can be if they, A, listen to their heart, and B, if they actually start acting upon things they want to do and not just planning for the rest of their life until they're 24, 25 and realize, like, oh crap, my 9-to-5 job is not fulfilling enough. And then in terms of social entrepreneurship, right, that was my whole first step into the world of entrepreneurship. Wasn't, making a tech startup or, getting money off drop shipping products from China or India or anything. It was literally just building out a nonprofit that tried to help young people get money so they could start their own projects. And that's fueled my entire narrative throughout, because even with a conventional project that I'm working on now, like Dunk or with SuperFan, I'm always trying to find ways that we can have a philanthropic arm to it, where we can give back to communities that we are benefiting from, or we can directly give back to a community that's marginalized, that, is in need of help or support or for voice. So that's definitely something I want to carry on, because I really do believe that social entrepreneurship is the type of entrepreneurship that every single entrepreneur should at least dabble with to some certain extent.
Listening to you speak there, I love your confidence, but also your self-awareness and how you actually want to give back and help others along the way. And when I think about people like that out there on the scene, straight away, of course, I'm going to think Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, I recently, he's a big hero of mine. I recently read that you'll be speaking alongside Gary Vaynerchuk as well. How did that come about?
Yeah, I met the guy 2 years ago. Crap, 2 years ago. I'm old. No, I'm kidding. 2 years ago, I met him in his office in New York. I was coming to speak at a UN event, and I met him the week before, only literally by emailing him every single day for a solid month in May. So May 2016, literally emailed him every single day for that month until, I'm guessing he was just like, Tyler, his assistant at the time, book a meeting with the kid. He's really annoying. He probably said that. And then when I met him, we just followed each other back on Twitter and Instagram, stayed in touch. And then I think it was a woman named Shauna in Toronto, who was the organizer for Haste and Hustle, a conference last year that was kind of the first big Canadian conference that brought Casey Neistat, Gary Vaynerchuk, Manjeet Minhas, all these superstars out to speak. She noticed that we had a meeting together, because when you go on YouTube, you just search up Gary Vaynerchuk meets young fan, you'll get a video of our meeting. And she was like, it would be so cool to have people like Gary speak alongside younger people like Swish. And so that's where she structured out the entire event called Generation Now, where We're going to have people from the younger generation, people from the older generation sharing their insights on the same topic.
Fantastic. So is he as inspirational in real life as well? Did you get any big learning lessons from you or any tips from you when you met him?
Yeah, he's even more, honestly. If you watch the video, like the video of the meeting, the first question I asked him was, hey, Gary, there are times when I wake up and I really don't know if, like, I'm ready to go during the day. Like, I wake up and I want to go back to sleep. And he was literally to my face. First question, first answer he ever gave me was, you're not doing what you love. Like, you know, it's super blunt. That's who he is, though. He doesn't really hold back no matter who you are. And I love his honesty, right? And I think that's honestly why he's starting to become bigger and bigger, is because his message is so authentic. It's raw. You know, you either like it or you don't. And if you don't like it, you'll soon like it, because you just have to warm up to his message and his narrative and know that he actually means really well for you and he's not trying to insult you.
Now, when I mentioned that, did you learn anything from meeting Gary? The main reason I asked that is whenever I interview guests on this show, I always try and take away a big lesson from each person and almost like try and level up myself and learn from each person I speak with. Now, you've interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, Mark Cuban, Lewis Howes, Seth Godin. I mean, what did you learn from conversations with each of these incredibly successful people? Oh, and was there anything in common as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing in common is their message on starting now. Like, all of them literally were just like, the only way to learn something is actually by doing it. And that just makes sense to me, right? Because I grew up playing a lot of sports, and I know that if I wanted to learn basketball or if I wanted to learn volleyball, I wasn't going to read about it and just become better at it. You know, you actually have to go out on the court and do something. And so I feel like that type of narrative is common among them all. They're all go-getters. They're all people who, the minute they want to do something, they try it out in some small way and learn immediately. I think the things that were different is for Gary and for Seth, both of them live very minimally. And what I mean by that is they don't really care, I think, about the watches and the cars and the jets and all of that type of stuff. They're more in it for the process of just building a company, building a brand, and impacting people. And I love that. And so, you know, for Seth, for example, he was telling me at the time where he literally was walking down a street with a kid. This kid was really, you know, like read Purple Cow like 100 times probably, was a super fan of his. And he took that kid to every single secondhand shop, like secondhand game shop, the thrift shop, everything. And the only message he was trying to teach him is live minimally. It doesn't matter. You know, at the end of the day, all these materialistic things will not make you happy. They're likely to not make your life fulfilling. What will is the emotion that you attach to every moment in your life. And I love that. And then the second big thing, I think, with Mark Cuban and with Lewis Howes in particular, was both of them are straight up the types of people who are so competitive. Like both, I think Lewis probably because he's a national footballer, right? And I think Mark because he's just crazy. And he's insane, you know, the way that he views every single business, every single industry. Like he literally learned like artificial intelligence in a month just by taking 3 courses and having a personal mentor. He can now speak so fluently to it. And so I think all of them have such a great competitive edge, and it's something that kind of rubs off on you, that whole chip on your shoulder, I want to beat you, but I also want to help you out, like that type of great feeling.
Now, you did mention the word narrative there, and I think a lot of people are creating their own narratives and building their own personal brands. And something I wanted to ask you is, do you think that personal branding is widely misunderstood at the moment, especially in leadership circles?
I don't know. I mean, I think personal branding is something that a lot of people talk about, but not a lot of people know what it even is. Like, I think a lot of people seem to overcomplicate the whole idea of personal brand. If anything, in my opinion, what a personal brand is how you project yourself and your ideas to other people. It's a vehicle, right? It's not just like, I have a personal brand, be all, end all. Like, I can make money off it now. I can influence people. Your personal brand is a vehicle to all of those things. So the way in which you want to situate your personal brand, whether it be online or in the physical world, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, don't overcomplicate it. All you're really doing is projecting your ideas in words, video, or photos, and putting that out to the world and interacting with the community.
Someone is listening to this show now thinking, well, this is all great, but you're obviously a very confident guy, and Gary Vaynerchuk and all the guys we've mentioned are all confident guys, but the person listening could be quite introverted. So can you tell me more about how, even if you're not naturally expressive or a communicative person, that you can still actually work with content curators to help develop those ideas for you and actually grow your digital footprint? And
I mean, look, so here's the thing too, it's like, I think the more and more I'm growing older, the more and more introverted I'm becoming, weirdly enough. Like, I really was like super extroverted 3 years ago. Now, if you ask me, I think I'm more 80-20. And the reason why is I honestly think, just being introverted doesn't mean that you're not a confident person that can put yourself out there. Yes, it does mean that for me, what I believe extroverted means is being able to feed off other people's energy, and my energy comes from other people directly, not myself. And I think that's the best definition of it. But at the same time, if you're introverted, if you're someone that is reserved or shy or more calm or more, into just doing your own thing and not really like talking to a lot of other people, the best piece of advice I could give you is pairing up and collaborating with people who are extroverted. There are great people like Ryan Lukens, Zach Dines. Actually, everyone should go and follow Zach Dines on Instagram, ZACDYNES. He literally is blown up in the last 2 weeks because he's an artist. He's introverted. All he does is create free art for people when they're going through a big moment. So Gary launched his book last week. He made a free art piece profiling Gary and his book. And Gary reshared it. He retweeted it. He became just insanely popular after that because the art was beautiful, but the way he did it was also amazing. He never asked Gary for anything. He just made something for him and provided value up front. So that's the number one thing I would do if you're introverted.
Excellent advice. Obviously, you've got SuperFan launching in a few weeks. So can you tell me more about SuperFan and how you came up with the idea to actually bridge the gap between those celebrities, the brands, and most importantly, their top fans?
Yeah, so growing up, I was a huge Kobe Bryant fan. I think it was around the age of 16 I realized I'm not going to make the NBA, so I'll probably never play against him. But I still wanted to always meet him, and I still haven't met him yet. He's still a dream, but I always wished that there was a tool out there that could literally take in all the direct messages, the replies, the mentions, the tweets, the follows, the likes, the comments, all of that social media data, and could analyze it and give an output to celebrities and brands on who their top passionate and top influential fans are. And so that's honestly why we decided to create SuperFan. Is about 3 months ago, Mark Zablo, who's a social media agent for Chris Paul, messaged me and was like, hey, do you have a tool that Chris could use to find his most engaged fans in Houston? I took that idea, I took my childhood obsession for Kobe Bryant. I'm like, let's do it. Let's actually build out a tool that takes in all the social media data and provides an output to celebrities and brands to be able to reach out to their top fans and interact with them, right? Appreciate them through a message or reward them with a gift. And so that's honestly, I'm really excited. We're a month away. Beta is going to be starting in March. We're hoping to get some big influencers on it to be able to use that as a case study, like Casey Neistat, Gary Vaynerchuk, all these great guys. But I think the big focus right now is to focus in on brands and making sure that from a brand level, we're able to satisfy their needs. We're able to take in their personalized CRMs as well and merge that data with social media and really provide them an experience that they otherwise could not get using SocialRank, using Hootsuite, using Buffer, any of these other tools.
Now, you've got a phenomenal work ethic there. I mean, at the moment, you're travelling all over the world, you're doing numerous speaking events, and also you're launching SuperFan in a few weeks, spinning so many different plates. But what are the top 3 things that you're working on at the moment?
Top 3 things, well, definitely SuperFan is number one. I mean, 90% of my days just on email and Slack these days, communicating with people and trying to get things going on that front. The second is definitely LinkedIn. I've always said LinkedIn is my go-to platform. It's a place I express myself the finest and the best. And so I love creating content. I love collaborating with other people, videoing them, asking them questions, interviewing them, and posting their ideas on LinkedIn. And then I think the third is I recently got signed on, of course, as a speaker to the National Speakers Bureau. So speaking is something that I love to do. I was a debater for 7 years before I became a public speaker. So once I stopped debating, I realized like, oh crap, I can actually make money off public speaking by sharing insights and experiences that I've gone through. And so I love doing it. I'm addicted to it. And I think it's a super fun time to be able to go on stage and just make people laugh, smile, inspired, or become more informed.
It doesn't get any better than that. But what's next for you in 2018 and beyond? I mean, you're very young, but you've got so many great things to look forward to. You're working towards so much as well. What's your grand vision?
Grand vision. I mean, for 2018, for sure, this year is a lot more about trying to put myself out there. I think last year was about building the foundations for, speaking, for LinkedIn, for doing VC work, for building a business. This year is more just about capitalizing on that foundation and really going forth with that. And so I definitely want SuperFan to launch on time. So beta in March, full launch in April. That is something I'm really looking forward to. I might be doing a couple of YouTube Red series later this year with the talent agency that I'm signed with called the AAT Project. And then the long-term vision, honestly, is, when I'm 25, 26, hopefully become a talk show host doing political commentary. I bet you did not expect that, but I'm a huge fan of John Oliver, Jon Stewart, all these satirical political commentators. So before I go into politics myself, which I still want to do, I want to do a bit of political commentary on TV, and hopefully that's something I can do within 4 or 5 years.
Oh man, you threw a huge curveball my way there.
Yeah, not a lot of people expect that, but no, that's just something that's been a dream of mine for the last 5-6 years.
And you like our very own John Oliver as well.
I love John Oliver. I think he's actually the finest of them right now. I also like Hassan Minhaj. I mean, Jon Stewart is the greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Yep.
Stephen Colbert, less so these days, just because I don't know why. I used to like the Colbert Report. I don't really like the Late Show anymore. But yeah, that type of genre is something that I just get excited by.
Excellent. Well, a huge thanks for taking the time to come on today. I know you're incredibly busy, but before I do let you go, can you just remind the listeners of your website details, social channels, especially LinkedIn, because I know you're a big hit over there,
yeah.
and how they can reach you if you've got any questions?
Definitely. Disclaimer off the bat, please do reach out if you have any questions. It could be about speaking, going through school and running a business, anything like that. manugoswami.com is my website. And then in terms of social channels, LinkedIn is the best place to go. So just put Manu Goswami, ManuGoswami. If not that, you can just reach me at GoSwish on Instagram, Twitter, and on Snapchat. And I do respond to almost every message I get on Twitter and Instagram. So if you're trying to give me a question, don't go through LinkedIn. Connect with me there for sure. But ask me a question on Instagram and Twitter because I'm more likely to reply there.
Excellent. Well, I'll add all those links to the show notes just so people can find you nice and easy. Well, again, one of the things I love about what you're doing here is you're highlighting the power of social entrepreneurship. But it's not just about building your own empire. It's about helping others to build theirs. So I think you're a fantastic role model for other kids out there as well. So a huge thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best for the future. And let's get you back on in 6 months and follow your journey. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great talking to you. Thank you so much.
What an inspirational guy Swish is. And honestly, I could have chatted to him for hours. I mean, he has the right message, he's the perfect role model, and he's also incredibly down to earth and humble too. In fact, I'd say all-round great guy, and one of those people whose infectious enthusiasm just rubs off everyone around him. Well, it did me anyway. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on his message, his mindset, his ethos, and everything that he's doing there. And you can do all that by engaging directly with me here. You can tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, email me at techblogwriter@outlook.com. Or, you know what, you can leave me a voicemail, ask a question, anything you want. My door is always open to each and every one of you. And you can do that by going to my website, techblogwriter.co.uk/podcast, and click on the little leave voicemail option. So keep those messages coming in. It really, really does brighten up my day, getting to engage directly with you all and hear your stories or your daily routine wherever you listen to this show in, I think, 162 countries we're up to at the minute. Because you are all living proof that technology really does work best when it brings people together. So a big warm thank you for tuning in today. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.